I love Counter-Strike. I think it holds up. I think it's important in the history of FPS. And I'm talking about the original Counter-Strike, 1.6. It literally, if you look at it on Steam, it just says Counter-Strike because it's the first. It has historical importance. All right, the way I look at it, if you're going to look at the history of first-person shooters, you got to start with Wolfenstein 3D. And I know this isn't the first-person shooter. I think Maze War is the first one, but the game that really set the stage for first-person shooters was 1992's Wolfenstein 3D. Got things moving, got the genre on its feet. And then a year later, the same company that made Wolfenstein 3D, id Software, made Doom. And so they had another hit. This time it changed the game even more than Wolfenstein 3D did. Doom was a big game and is really important in the history of first-person shooters. And same company 3 years later comes back again and changes the game once again. And when I say game, I mean the genre of first-person shooters with Quake. Quake came out, and it's a true 3D FPS with multiplayer, and again was just levels above anything else. When Quake came out, my uncle had it on his computer. He showed me. It literally scared me. I had nightmares because of how real it was, that there's zombies in that game. Blew my mind. I couldn't get enough of it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. 3 years later, Counter-Strike comes out. Now, Counter-Strike wasn't originally a retail game like the games I've been mentioning. It was a mod of Half-Life. Now, in the lineage of first-person shooters, Counter-Strike has a place, and I would argue it's right after Quake. And it's directly connected to Quake and id Software because Counter-Strike is a mod of Half-Life, which Half-Life uses the Quake engine. So Counter-Strike, in a way, has the blood of id Software in it. And that's one of the reasons why I think Counter-Strike is the fourth major game in the history of FPS. It brought about concepts and popularized concepts that would stick, and it did things that hold up today, that I look for today, and I appreciate today. So anyway, it has this multiplayer mode where you're planting and defusing a bomb, and this mode you still see today. I remember in Battlefield Bad Company 2, that was the basis of the Rush mode. It was basically a rip off of that mode. And if you play Valorant today, they have a mode just like the setup in Counter-Strike. So the actual gameplay was defining. But what I really liked about the game is the damage. If you're doing well, you will just destroy. Nothing can get in your way because the projectiles in the game cause such damage that it's very effective when you're using them, obviously. It's not like a bullet sponge, which I talked about in another video. This game, definitely not a bullet sponge. If you get behind someone, they're pretty much done. I mean, they're not going to stand a real chance because of the damage you can inflict on them. They have an in-game money system, but you have your basic set of weapons. You got your pistols. One of the best in the game is the generic Desert Eagle, or the Deagle, if you will. You have your AK-47, classic gun, very powerful. You can get headshots with this thing like nothing else. You have your standard AR machine gun, and let me just say that putting the silencer on this thing is one of the most satisfying things you can do in a first-person shooter, in my opinion. You have some shotguns, which are effective, obviously, at close range. I mean, you have your standard guns. You have a heavy machine gun. You have your snipers. There's a couple of them. And grenades. And this was cool. So they have regular grenades, but they also have flashbang grenades. One of the best things is the maps, particularly DDoS 2. I, in my opinion, think that DDoS 2 is the greatest multiplayer FPS map ever made. I'm not even sure how humans were able to put this map together because it's just so solid. Whether you're talking about from a timing perspective, there's sniping spots, there's flanking spots, and I can't say enough about it, so I'm just gonna stop. But anyway, just to wrap this video up, if you've never played it, highly recommend you pick it up. It's on Steam. You can get it for $10, and if you already do play the game, you know what I'm talking about, and let's just leave it at that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you out there. Have a good one.